precisely 1:15. This is the news on Sri Lanka Broadcasting Corporation. The news is edited by Danushka Medavala and read by Sabrina Zawahir. First, the headlines. It's been stressed that the Mahaweli Authority will not take action that harms the environment when carrying out agricultural activities in the Mahaweli zones. Intellectuals say that Sri Lanka Broadcasting Corporation always acted to create a wise society. Around 30,000 dengue patients have been reported so far this year. Sri Lankan Airlines is set to increase the frequency of passenger flights from Colombo to Singapore. Medical supplies worth of over 16 million rupees have been donated by the People's Government of Beijing Municipality to the Colombo Municipal Council. And in foreign news, Swatani PM Ambrose Dewameni dies after testing positive for COVID-19. In sports, the second semi-final of the Lanka Premier League will be played this evening between Jaffna Stallions and Dabulla Viking. Local news now in detail. State Minister Siripala Gamlat says that the Mahaweli Authority will not take any action that harms the environment when carrying out agricultural in the Mahaweli zones. The minister has instructed the officials to pay more attention on the environment aspects during agricultural activities. He made these remarks while addressing a meeting held at the State Ministry of Mahaweli Zones, Canals and Settlement Infrastructure Development recently. Some parties have raised concern regarding the maize cultivation in Mahaoya and Padiatalava areas. The minister said that maize cultivation in those areas have begun after informing the environmental authorities such as Department of Wildlife. Professor Ajanta Hapuarachi says that the Sri Lanka Broadcasting Corporation was able to maintain its quality while providing maximum service to the listeners throughout the past 95 years. Speaking at the Subharthi discussion program, she said that the SLBC has done a tremendous service to the country. Its programs led the society to create an intelligent listener base. Participating in the program, senior lecturer Vijayananda Rupa Singha says that the Sri Lanka Broadcasting Corporation is like an university. The corporation is providing wide array of programs in various subjects and fields for the society. It covers all ethnic groups in the country as well. He added that the service rendered to the country by the SLBC is priceless. Epidemiology Unit of the Health Ministry says that around 30,000 dengue patients have been reported so far this year. Last year, around 150,000 suspected dengue cases have been reported from the country. Many of them are from the Western Province. Around 28% are reported from the Western Province, the ministry said. There was a huge increase in cases during the month of January last year. The COVID-19 clusters that emerged from Deulapitiya, Paliagoda and prisons have exceeded 29,000 patients with the detection of 650 patients yesterday. According to the Department of Government Information, 503 patients linked to the Paliagoda cluster and 148 persons linked to the prisons cluster tested positive for COVID-19 yesterday. This brings the total count of the cluster to 29,152. The total count of COVID-19 patients in the country is 32,785, of which 8,843 are currently under medical care at 62 treatment centres. The Epidemiology Unit adds that over 22,000 COVID-19 patients have been detected from the Western Province alone, including 13,292 patients from Colombo District, 7,173 patients from Gampha District, and 1,687 patients from Kalutara District. Meanwhile, the Health Promotion Bureau states that 15,239 PCR tests were carried out yesterday. More than 15,000 tests were carried out on Saturday as well. The National Centre for the Prevention of the Spread of COVID-19 says that 6,754 persons are currently undergoing quarantine at 67 centres. This news is brought to you by Sri Lanka Broadcasting Corporation.
Buy anything you please with a People's Credit Card from selected outlets with zero interest.
Continuing local news, medical supplies worth of over 16 million rupees have been donated by the People's Government of Beijing Municipality to the Colombo Municipal Council, including PPEs, ventilators and PCR test kits. The first batch of urgently needed donation arrived at Bandaranaike International Airport from Beijing via Qatar in the afternoon of Saturday, and the remaining 2 batches will arrive today and on Thursday. The national carrier of Sri Lanka and the member of the One World Alliance, Sri Lankan Airlines, is set to increase the frequency of passenger flights from Colombo to Singapore from once a week to thrice a week, commencing 18th December 2020. In addition to this, Sri Lankan will also operate a weekly service between Kuala Lumpur and Colombo every Friday. These flights are operated subject to COVID-19 entry restrictions and border closures imposed by the respective countries. Passengers are kindly reminded to be aware of these travel conditions before booking flights with Sri Lankan Airlines. The airline prioritizes the safety and well-being of its passengers through a range of additional measures to offer COVID-19 preventive services at the airport and on board. Despite the global lockdown, Sri Lankan Airlines has been operating these routes specially to cater to the demand for cargo capacity with its fleet of passengers and freighter aircraft. Defence Secretary Kamal Gunaratne says that once a person gets more promotions, he or she should be more responsible while working. He says it's only then a person can get more respect from the society. Speaking at a passing out ceremony held at the Trincomalee, he said that good qualities will always create a good leader. That ends local news. The main news story follows.
Buy anything you please with a People's Credit Card from selected outlets and pay it off within 36 months with zero interest. More details at www.peoplesbank.lk.
A mother knows the pain of each member of the family. Siddhalepa, the trusted relief for aches and pains.
An effective therapy for relief from cold, sneezing, flu, headaches, swelling due to toothaches, rheumatic, discomforts, and muscular aches and pains. Siddhalepa, the Vedda Mahatmya in every home.
The main news story is brought to you by Siddhalepa Vedda Mahatmya.
Lanwa Sunstar Cement Company, Sri Lanka's largest cement factory currently being constructed adjacent to the Hambantota port, is scheduled to commence production in June next year. This state-of-the-art factory will be one of the largest cement factories in the South Asian region. The factory will manufacture cement according to most eco-friendly methods using state-of-the-art European technology. The Board of Investment registered project will build the factory on a 63-acre of land in the Mirijawala Export Processing Zone in Hambantota, with an initial investment of $70 million in the first phase and an estimated production capacity of around 2.4 million metric tons per annum. That came to you in our main news story.
The main news story was brought to you by Siddhalepa Vedda Mahatmya.
Brush your teeth twice a day for healthy teeth and gums. Supiriviki and Kakulu, your trusted brands in oral care for many years.
Supiriviki Ayurvedic toothpaste for adults. Kakulu Ayurvedic toothpaste for kids. 9 Ayurvedic ingredients of Supiriviki will protect your teeth and strengthen your gums. Supiriviki and Kakulu, products from Siddhalepa.
In Watchlight, The police media spokesperson DIG Ajit Rohana says that the annual transfers of police officers are due to take effect from the 1st of January in 2021. However, the transfers of police officers with children facing the GCE ordinary level examination have been temporarily suspended until the end of the exam. Accordingly, the annual transfers of the relevant officers will take effect from the 15th of March. The GCE ordinary level examination for the year 2020 is scheduled to be held from 1st to the 11th of March 2021. That was Watchlight, a bulletin of world news follows. The headlines of the world news. Eswatini's PM Ambrosa Dlamini dies after testing positive for COVID-19. New Zealand and Australia agree on quarantine-free travel bubble. Brexit trade talks process still has legs, UK so says. The world news now in detail. The government of Eswatini says Prime Minister Ambrosa Dlamini has died 4 weeks after he was tested positive for coronavirus. A government statement said Dlamini, 52, died on Sunday afternoon in hospital in South Africa. No cause of death was mentioned, but Dlamini had recently been receiving treatment for COVID-19 in South Africa. Dlamini had been Prime Minister of Eswatini, formerly known as Swaziland, since October 2018. The tiny landlocked country in southern Africa is one of the last absolute monarchies in the world. With a population of about 1 million, the country has recorded 6,768 coronavirus infections and 127 deaths linked to the pandemic, according to the Health Ministry. New Zealand has agreed to a quarantine-free travel bubble with Australia in principle. The country's Prime Minister Jacinda Ardern said trips under the agreement could begin early next year. However, the much-anticipated deal will depend on the COVID-19 situation in both countries remaining as it is now. Travellers from New Zealand have been allowed to enter most Australian states without quarantine since October. So far, though, this has been a one-way agreement, meaning they must do a 14 days of managed isolation on their return to New Zealand. And any Australians are not allowed into New Zealand at all unless they have an exemption. Negotiators from the UK and EU are to begin a new push to reach on an agreement on post-Brexit trade after both sides agreed to an extra mile. And UK source said that the process still has some legs, but Boris Johnson has warned a no deal is the most likely as an outcome. A deadline to finish talks had been set for Sunday, but the Prime Minister and an European Commission President, Ursula von der Leyen, agreed to an extension. The pair discussed major unresolved topics during a constructive call. That ends world news, and the headlines of the world news once again. Eswatini's PM Ambrosa Dlamini dies after testing positive for COVID-19. New Zealand and Australia agree on quarantine-free travel bubble. Brexit trade talks process still has legs, UK source says. As we conclude the world news, the development news follows. Taking a look at the development news, the Sri Lanka Tea Board has allocated 450 million rupees for several fresh development initiatives, hoping for a gradual shift towards enhancing the yield and quality of Ceylon tea by encouraging additional 50 million new plants by next year. To support these initiatives, SLTB has introduced an array of new financial schemes, including grants to planters and estate owners to encourage replanting and new plantings, as well as shading management programs. That was development news. Moving on to sports news. In sports news, it's cricket. The second semi-final of the Sri Lanka Premier League will be played this evening between Jaffna Stallions and Dambulla Viking at Hambantota Suryaveva grounds. The next match will commence at 7 p.m. Stay tuned with SLBC to get the ball-by-ball live updates. That was a look at the sports news. Next up is the business news. The International Chamber of Commerce, Sri Lanka, the Chartered Institute of Management Accountants, together with the Daily FT, announced the country's number one bank, Bank of Ceylon, as one of the top 10 most admired companies in Sri Lanka 2020. The bank was conferred this title for the second consecutive year for its excellence in the field of banking and finance in Sri Lanka and for its contribution to the overall economic growth of the country. Having completed 81 years of unwavering service to the nation, Bank of Ceylon is to be the highest profit-earning single business entity in the banking industry of Sri Lanka. BOC takes greater responsibility in every possible way to assist the government initiatives towards social and economic development. That ends Business News.
Economic News, courtesy of...
Hello, Puta. Did you land already?
We're in transit and our flight got delayed.
How is Shani? Poor thing with her pregnancy.
Calm down, everything is sorted. Why, I have my LOLC World Card with me. We are at the VIP lounge.
LOLC Finance Credit Cards. Fuel the goodness in you.
State Minister for Rural Roads and Other Infrastructure, Nima Lanza, said that the development of all Class A, B and CD roads in Sri Lanka will be completed next year and that the development carried out by the opposition for the last 5 years will be carried out next year. State Minister Nima Lanza expressed these views while participating in the carpeting of the Katana, Madavala, Arambe Road and Katiala Gamamada Road recently. He further stated that the development of all A, B and CD grade roads in Sri Lanka will be completed next year. That ends Economic News.
Congratulations on your promotion. Heard you gave a treat for everyone in your department yesterday.
Yeah.
It will be our treat, huh?
Well, how about today?
Oh no, I was just joking. We'll have a party with your new salary.
It's fine. I have my LOLC credit card with me. Let's go out today.
Those who spread goodness radiate happiness to everyone around them. Introducing LOLC Finance Credit Cards. Fuel the goodness in you.
Finally, it's a look at the weather report. Mainly fair weather will prevail over most parts of the island. However, showers or thundershowers may occur at a few places in Sabaragamuwa, southern and central provinces after 2 p.m. Misty conditions can be expected at some places in western, Sabaragamuwa and Uva provinces during the morning. That was the weather report, and prior to concluding this bulletin of news, the headlines once again. It's been stressed that the Mahaweli Authority will not take action that harms the environment when carrying out agricultural activities in the Mahaweli zones. Intellectuals say that Sri Lanka Broadcasting Corporation always acted to create a wise society. Around 30,000 dengue patients have been reported so far this year. Sri Lankan Airlines is set to increase the frequency of passenger flights from Colombo to Singapore. Medical supplies worth of over 16 million rupees have been donated by the People's Government of Beijing Municipality to the Colombo Municipal Council. With that, we conclude the news.